Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again in this YouTube astrological segment. I'm going to be talking about transit Saturn Sextile or Trine Natal Pluto. Now, this could manifest in the career, hard work, the father, older people, authority figures, responsibilities, discipline, and structure. Can be in harmony with transformation, power, and control. And I'm going to elaborate and expound on that. The thing is, this transit could be very positive for very disciplined, laborious efforts. It can be a time where if you need to make major transformation, major change in your career, this is the time where you can do it. It can be done, with a lot of concentration and focus, at this time. And it might be a time as well where you have this is about what I call disciplined power and control. You're talking about the transit of Saturn making a good relationship, a good aspect to the natal Pluto. And this is not like being, domineering or overbearing or, control freak or anything like that. What this transit how it could manifest is really, just working hard to have power and control in your life or some aspect or of your life at this time. This could be a time if you've got to make a major transformation. It can be done in a very methodical manner. If you're planning, it could be a very good time for very premeditated, planned, major change or transformation. It could be about showing discipline in a crisis situation, not acting too hastily. Uh, this can also be a time where you can have, when you have this transit, it can also be about, the father, older people, authority figures can be beneficial to you making a major change or transformation. If, let's say, if you have your natal Pluto in the fifth house, that major change or transformation may be involved, may be connected with your love life at this time. It could be in matters pertaining to enjoyment. I have my natal Pluto and Virgo in my fifth house. This could be Pluto and Virgo in the fifth house. Right there could indicate a lot of passion and desire toward analytical, intellectual amusement and enjoyment. And it can be also, sometimes like during the football season, I'll make some NFL videos where I like to extrapolate sports data, and I obviously have a very strong passion, desire for it. But this is a time where that energy could be more disciplined, and it's more you have to be more consistent with what you're doing, what you have that passion and desire for at this time, more so than you ordinarily would. And it's also about having that discipline, having structure and shared resources scenarios. If you're involved, whether it's an intimate relationship or you might be in some business partnership with somebody, this is going to be, this is a very positive time for if you have to spend, in a disciplined manner, not go overboard, not being overly extravagant. If you have to be more conservative, this is the time where you would have more of that ability to do so, more so than usual. Now, anatomically speaking, okay, Pluto is connected with the colon, the prostate, the bladder, and the reproductive system. So this could be a time for some, like if you have any of those issues that I described that are anatomically connected with Pluto, this is the time where you could be more apt to take the responsibility for those matters. If you procrastinated or hesitated on any of those things that I described that are associated with Pluto, that even if you're just trying to get like a checkup, there's a number of times when people need to get their prostate, check for an enlarged prostate. And sometimes people will procrastinate on it. I mean, I know I have. And this is the time where you could be more responsible for attending to those matters at this time, and look at those matters more seriously and have greater concentration on them at this time. And it can be auspicious for that. And this is also a transit. If you've had any trauma or surgery, or you need surgery, or there's some trauma that you need to have, looked at. You want to make sure of something. Say if you have your natal Pluto in Libra, and especially if it falls in the first or sixth house in the chart, because the first house, of course, is associated with the physical body. The sixth house is connected with physical health related issues. So there could be some issues, like say, if it's again Pluto in Libra in the first or sixth house, it could be some issues with the kidneys or the endocrine system or the lower back, as some examples. Um, Surgery. If there's something that you've been, thinking about, where you think you might need surgery, you need to get something looked at. This is the time where you have more of that opportunity to really focus and concentrate on those matters and have little diversions or distractions in doing so at this time. And again, especially if the natal Pluto's in the first or sixth house. The eighth house also could play a role, because the eighth house is the house connected with trauma and surgery. So Pluto falls in the first, sixth, even the eighth house especially. And you're having this transit, and you've been contemplating, doing something, where you think there's surgery might be needed. This could be a good time to go have it looked at, and also too, this is also a time where could be very auspicious for discipline support. If you're trying to help somebody out, whether it's a family member, whether it's for moral, emotional, monetary support, or what have you, or it could even be, say if you have your natal Pluto in the 12th house, it could be giving some kind of support, to somebody that's less fortunate, such as somebody that's facing oppression, or they're impoverished or homeless or hungry, as some examples. This could be the time where you can really give that consistent, have an opportunity to give very consistent discipline support to that person. And if it's a time as well where Saturn is also connected with authority. So it's a time as well, like say if you've been giving some kind of support for a long time, especially like if it's a monetary nature, and you feel like, for example, somebody's been taking advantage of you, it's a time to, show the authority, so to speak, I would say, and be able to say, look, this has been going on, too long, and you can really have more control in that, and state, that you have say, you're going to have some say, and you might have to put your foot down and say, okay, I have to, restrict this at this point in time. It's as an example. Now, also too, this could be a time where it's about taking some responsibility. Like say if there's any crime or corruption in your area, if there's something you can do. If it's just simply putting out flyers and doing something positive, in those matters. This is a time where you can, this could be a very positive and propitious time for that. If there's like homes being burglarized in your neighborhood, as an example, this is a time where you can really, do something positive, I would say, in those matters, because Saturn is about concentration. It's hard work. And this is a time where you may be able to do that more so than you ordinarily would. And it's also being disciplined regarding secrets and being responsible. If you have to maintain some secrets, or retain them, I should say, if you're especially, like say if you're somebody that's somewhat loquacious, and there's a tendency to gossip, this could be that time where you could be able to retain and take the responsibility for secrets that need to stay hidden, that don't need to be unveiled or come out of something that's very private. This is the time to really be able to take care of that and keep those, and be able to just to respect the things that don't need to be stated. Saturn is about working within that law, so to speak, well, the parameters, doing things, following guidelines, and you follow the unwritten guidelines in those matters at this time. Could be a positive transit for that. Hold on a moment, people. Sorry about that, I'm back, but anyway. Yeah, I know that's my signature statement. Anywho, another thing too is that this could be a time where you could work very hard in matters with deep research, be able to concentrate without necessarily being obsessed with what you're doing. If you got, say, if you have your natal Pluto in the fourth house as an example, it could be researching deeply into your ancestry, into your family, finding out about roots and traditions as some examples, and also be able to have passion for what you're doing, your work that you do, your career, without going overboard again, without being overly fixated or obsessed on whatever it is you may be doing in connection with hard work or your career, and even responsibilities that need to be taken care of. Now, another way this transit could manifest, it could be about responsibilities, which is Saturn, to your intimate relationships. It could be a positive time for that. Now, and of course, Saturn is connected with responsibilities, intimate relationships associated with Pluto. And let's say, for example, if the Saturn transit Saturn is in Aquarius, those responsibilities may include doing something with computers. It could be fixing one's computer or something with electronics, or doing something associated with astronomy, as some examples. And also, too, another way this transit may be expressed, it could be where the father, which is Saturn, could be more in harmony and agreement with what you have the passion and desire, which is Pluto, for. So let's say, going back to Pluto and Virgo in the fifth house as an example, my placement, they could be having that passion, desire for analytical and intellectual, which is Virgo, enjoyment, which is the fifth house. It also could be a time where it's auspicious for planned and premeditated, which is Saturn. It could be obliterating something, which is Pluto. Let's say, for example, if the natal Pluto is in Sagittarius in the fifth house, it could be ending, which is about Pluto, obliterating reckless, which is Sagittarius. It could be gambling, which is the fifth house. And it also could be a time where it's propitious for laborious work, which is Saturn, and a shared resources, which is Pluto's situation. Let's say, as an example, if the transit Saturn is in Leo, laborious work may be connected with event management or game production or something with sports. And it's also a time where it could be very positive for concentration, which is Saturn, again, on something connected with deep research, which is Pluto. If you have your, say, the natal Pluto in the third house, it could be, maybe you're looking into a neighbor or a sibling or a cousin even. You might be trying to find, something out in connection with that, or even someone that was prominent in your early education. Anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment. Until next time, Edwin Learnard saying stay well.